So we're up to Eis Daled. The Rebbe discussed about that the Avodah is that we have to conquer the world and make the world for a Dira Lo Yisborich B'tachtonim. So the Rebbe says that is the reason why we're called soldiers in the armies of Hashem. Daled. Umamshich b'hamaimer. So he continues in the Maimer, Dezeu sheYisrael nikroim b'shem tzivus Hashem. This is why the Yidden are called the armies, the soldiers of Hashem. We are soldiers in Hashem's army. The Kol Echad MiYisrael hu chayil b'tzivus Hashem. Every individual of the Jewish people is a soldier in the armies of Hashem, or Tzova Meloshen Chayil, in the soldiers of Hashem. We're all soldiers, as in the being soldiers in the soldiers of Hashem. Sheyetzel milchama, that we go out to war. What's the war that we go out to? Is lichbeish ha'olam, to conquer the world, and to make the world a dwelling place for Him blessed. That the Eibishter should be there in this world. That's the war with the world, to allow and to make space for Hashem to be there, for Hashem to dwell there. In order for the Jewish people to be victorious in this war, so that they can overcome all kinds of difficulties in order to make the world a dwelling place for Hashem, they're given tremendous amount of koiches from above and beyond. We give them from above special powers for this, for them, for these soldiers, to make the world a dir leisbarach. And he brings an example that when it comes to war, then even treasures that are always hidden, nobody even sees, you don't spend them, you don't use them. But in order to win the war, the king splurges, and he takes these treasures that have been there for many generations, and he splurges in order to win the war, because victory, nitzochin, is rooted in the soul, which is beyond any calculations, and you just go out fully. Same thing is in the spiritual level. In order for the Yidden to win the war, to make a Didaleis Baruch, they are given, and Hashem splurges the treasures so that they can win the war. The Kamoi Shebimilchama Begashmi is just like in a Milchama physically. In order to win, be victorious of the war, we splurge the treasures. What does it mean, we splurge the treasures? This is something very unique. The Hagam, Shal Derech HaRagil, even though on the usual way, Heim Kimusim v'chasumim me'en kol raya. They are hidden and they're sealed. Nobody can see them. Nobody even gets to see these treasures that is in the government. For sure you don't use them. Even something very necessary, you don't use these treasures. But for sure you don't use them. You don't even see them. They are hidden. Nobody can actually see these treasures that are hidden. And yet, in order to win the opponents, we splurge all of the treasures, we splurge it in order to be victorious over the opponents. What's the reason that for victory you go and splurge all the treasures? Huki hanetzach mushresh be'etzem hanefesh. That character trait of victory is rooted in the essence of the soul. The essence of the soul has rooted that level of nitzochin that you need to be victorious. And since it's in the essence of the soul where the victory, the feeling, that emotion, that character trait of netzach comes from, and the shom be'etzem hanefesh over there, when we talk about the essence of the nefesh, and shaykh heshbonis over there doesn't apply any considerations, any calculations, and therefore, when the king needs to win the war, comes to netzach, over there you go all the ways, you go all out, because netzach is important to the soul. The essence of the soul, it's rooted there. And in the root of the soul, there is no consideration and calculation. So you spend and you splurge all the treasures as long as you can be nitzach, and you need to win the war. So now we're waging war to make a dira b'tachtonim. So also similar, it's above that we have the midas hanitzach. The shoyresh hanetzach hu b'pnimius hakeser. The root of netzach is in the inner of keser. So that's in atik. In the inner, we call that the essence, and that's bechinas lo yodom. That's the level where he's not Adam. Even in the level of Adam Kadmon, in Chitzoni Sakeser, there's still the Tziyur Adam there, because it is a potential. There's the Eser Sfiris Hagenuzis. There is a potential for the Midas. So because there's a Shaykhas to the Midas, it's still an Odom. But in Pnimius HaKeser, that's Bechinas Lo Yodom. That's not Odom because there's no Shaykhas at all to the level of structure of an Odom of Meichin Amidas, V'lochei. And therefore, because it is rooted in the Pnimius HaKeser, so therefore, in order that the armies of Hashem, the soldiers, they should win the war. Is given to them. Not just given, splurged. Bechinas ha'oitzer shalamaylo, the level of oitzer shalamaylo. That oitzer, that's treasure. That treasure is called Atik. That's Pnimius HaKeser. The Chayolim, the Yidden, who are soldiers in the army to bring down Hashem, to make the world a dir b'tachtonim, they get from Pnimius HaKeser, they get, in order to win the war and be successful in making this place a dir b'tachtonim, they get from the level of Oitzer, which is the level of Pnimius HaKeser. So the previous Rebbe in the Maimer, in order to explain what is this concept of this treasure of above, the idea of what it is, to demonstrate it, Magdim Maimer HaTikunei Zoyar. He introduces the saying of the Tikunei Zoyar. The Tikunei Zoyar says about the infinite light of the Ein Sof. He uses the expression that it's Oir Ein Sof is Lemaila Maila Ad Ein Ketz. It's higher and higher to no end. Ulamata mata adin tachlis, and it's lower to no finish. The Oir Ein Sof is higher to no end, and lower to no tachlis, no finish. What are these two expressions about the Ein Sof L'maylo Maylo? So in Chassidus, sometimes it talks about the L'maylo Maylo, that's the Oir, and Lamata Mata, that's already as it comes down to Hishtalshlus. But here, the Rebbe says that in this Maimer, he talks in the Oir Ein Sof itself. The Oir Ein Sof itself has the level of the Oir, which is Bechinas Gilui, and you have the essence of Ha'oir. You have the Etzem Ha'oir. You have the Oir and the Etzem Ha'oir. The Rebbe will explain in the Maimer that the treasure is mainly, Oitzer is higher than both. It's higher than the Gilui, and it's higher also, and also higher than the Etzem Ha'oir. This is on a level by itself. Let's look inside. So he says, Mevayer explains in the Maimer, Shabez Inyonim Elu, that these two ideas of higher and higher and lower and lower, Hem Gam Beis Madreges Ba'ir Sof Gufa. They are also two levels within the Ein Sof. We have higher, higher, and lower, lower. The level of the Gilui Oir and the level of Etzem Oir. The Lamata Mata, the Intachlis, when we talk about lower, lower to no finish, Hu Ha'oir Shebe Bechinas Gilui Be'atzmusei Kaviyachol. That is the Oir which is in a level of revelation, also in Atzmus. That's why we say it Lamata Mata, because it comes out within the Atzmusei that there is a level of revelation. Ulamailo Milo Adein Kates. And when we say higher, higher to no end, who etzem ha'oir, that's the essence of the oir. She'enei begeder gilu gam be'atzmusei. Also talking within atzmusei, it's not in a level, it's not defined as a revelation. Also be'atzmus. So in atzmus, we have the two levels. We have the gilui, and we also the gilui ha'oir, and we have the etzem ha'oir. The gilui ha'oir is called mata mata. That's below to no tachlis, and the etzem ha'oir is l'maylo aden ketz. The inyan ha'oitzer shalamaylo. And so what's the idea of Oitzer? He's trying to explain what Oitzer is. That Oitzer, hu ha'atzmus shalamaylo ma'oir v'gilui. It's not the etzem ha'oir, but it's atzmus, which is bechlal higher than oir v'gilui. Even the etzem ha'oir, we call it, is the etzem of oir. Atzmus is not the etzem ha'oir. That's higher than oir altogether. The inyan ha'oitzer shalamaylo, the idea of ha'oitzer hu ha'atzmus shalamaylo ma'ir v'gilui. That's the atzmus which is bechlal higher than oir v'gilui. Gam me'etzem ha'oir. Also from the etzem ha'oir. So the oir has gilui ha'oir be'atzmusei. And etzem ha'oir be'atzmusei, what doesn't come begilui. And then you have atzmusei himself, which is Bechlal not oir. That's higher than oir. That is the level of oitzer. That's the level when we say that you're mevazviz the oitzer, you give that treasure. The hagam. Now, oitzer is also, the etzem ha'oir is also called oitzer, because since it doesn't come lidei gilui, it's not the revelation, then it's a treasure. A treasure means that it's hidden. Dagam shegam etzem ha'oir, not only atzmusi, even the etzem ha'oir, this lamaylo mayla den ketz, that level etzem ha'oir, mikivon she'ene begeder gilu gam b'atzmusi, since it's not in the definition of revelation, even atzmusi kanal nikra oitzer, that's also called oitzer. Mikol mokoim, but still, while you call it oitzer, but it's still oir. It's etzem ha'oir, but it's oir. And therefore, that's not the true oitzer. True oitzer is the level which is b'chlal higher than oir. B'komokar. Mizeh shegam etzem ha'oir. Nikra b'shem oir. The fact that also the essence of the oir is called oir, which is gilui. Oir is a revelation. So it's the etzem of the gilui, but it's still oir. Move on, it's understood. She'ikir inyan ha'oitzer. So what is the main idea? So when we talk about a treasure, what is the treasure that the army, the soldiers are given in order to win the war? The real oitzer is shenyonei hushu sosum v'nelam, whose idea is that it's closed and it's hidden. Nobody has access to it. Hu atzmus, that's atzmus. It's not even etzem hoir. She'enei begeder oir klal. That's not even defined in the definition of oir. It's higher. It's not etzem ha'oir, but it's atzmus. And that is the level that you give, that oitzer that you give in order to be able to win the war. Va'oitzer zen noistim. That is the oitzer that you give, that is given. Uba'oifan de bizbuz, and in a way that it's splurged, letzives Havaya, to the armies of Havaya, to the soldiers of Havaya, bichdei lenatzeach hamilchama, in order to win the war. So this is what the Rebbe explains in the Maimer to demonstrate and to explain that they get the level of oitzrus. He says we're getting a level which is even higher than oir and sof altogether. We get the level of atzmus. So we get the level of loy odom, the level of pnimius hakeser, but we get the level of atzmus, not even the level of etzem ha'oir. The true oitzrus is the level of atzmus, which is higher than oir altogether, not even etzem ha'oir. Now, this mimer was said in the mimer was said in Tovshin Chavtes. That was 19 years since Yud Shvat. Rebbe started the first perek in Tovshin Yud Aleph, and Chavtes, they were up to perek Yutes. So, Mamshich beperek Yutes, ha-perek ha-shayich l'shon hazu. That's the chapter that belongs to that year, which is the year Chavtes, which is the 19th chapter. And they actually published this Maimer 20 years later when you learned it the second time around. He brings down over here that Tafshin Memtes, when they actually published it, was the second cycle of the 19 years. That's when it came out. So that's the perek that is connected to this year when they said the Maimer and when they published the Maimer, because they were learning at that year the chapter 19. So it says over there in the perek, the mekiv on shahanetzach mushrash be'etzem hanefesh shalomaylo mikoyches hagiluyim, since netzochem, victory, is rooted in the essence of the soul, which is higher than the koyches hagiluyim. That's why you get that higher level of oir, the kamei kain. So this is talking about emotionally in the characteristic of the person's feeling and measure, character trait of nitzochin is in the essence of the soul, which is higher than the revealed parts. It's the essence of the soul. The kamei kain hu lamaila, and the same thing is above. When we talk about the midas hanetzach of Atzilus, sheshoyresh hanetzach hu b'pnimius hakeser kinal, that the root of netzach is in the inner of keser. That's in Atik. That's where the root of the level of nitzach, the level of netzach in Atzilus, is in pnimius hakeser, in level of Atik kinal. L'chein b'midas hanetzach, says the Maimer. Therefore, when you have the characteristic, when you apply the character trait of Netzach, that you're able to reach that supreme treasure that you have. So that means that so on one hand, so what we're saying over here really, on one hand, we're saying in order for people to, for the Yidden to be able to be victorious, they're given these oitzres so that they can win the war. But here we're saying that the midas ha'tshechט that the person employs, that he uses his midas ha'tshechט, he actually reaches into that level. It's not just that it's given to him so that he can win the war, because then there would not be really a connection between the midas nitzochen and giving him all the oitzres, because the oitzres are given so that you can win the war. So they give you the ammunition to win the war. So you get from pnimius hakeser, you get. But here we want to say that you're actually eliciting, you're bringing out by your character trait of nitzochen, you bring it out. This, that in order to win the war, you give to the Yidden in a way of splurging. The treasure of above. So you can say that we're giving it so that you can win the war. It's not just because the root of Netzach is in such a level in Pnimius HaKeser in which there is no calculation, so therefore you're getting the level of Oitzrus. So because it's rooted, but it's not directly connected to the bringing about that level of the Oitzrus. Ubedugmas bizbus ha'oitzrus b'shul nitzuach ha'milchama b'gashmis. Similar, the same as splurging the treasures in order to win the war physically. Shemikivon shebe'etzem hanefshes shoydesh hanetzach. So since in the essence of the soul, which is this level, the root of netzach, ein cheshbainis, there's no consideration. So when it comes to a level of netzach, which touches your essence of the soul, and in the essence of the soul, there is no consideration, there's no calculations there. So lochein b'shvil hanitzochem v'vazvin eres ha'otzrus. So therefore, in order to win, the king will go ahead and splurge all the treasures, because this is something which is so important to the king. It touches his essence. And in the essence, there is no consideration. There's no calculations there. And you give the oitzrus. But it really means that because you have to win the war, you're going to splurge. But there's no really connection between the oitzrus and the level of nitzochen. It's just in order for you to be able to be victorious, to have nitzochen, you don't care about anything anymore. No, because you take everything, because I'm going to win this war no matter what. So you take all the treasures and splurge them. But it is not, because to win is rooted in the essence of the soul. But the victory and the treasures are two separate matters. You're given the treasures in order to be victorious. That's why you splurge. Ella Shal Yidei HaNetzach. But here we're saying that through the Midas HaNitzochen, Magim Loitzer Ha'elye, which means that the person employing the level of Netzach, he reaches up to the Oitzer Ha'elyon. In other words, that there is a connection that the person can actually get up to that level of the Oitzer, to the level of Pnimis HaKeser, in order to bring down the Pnimis HaKeser, in order to bring down those Oitzers. The person in his Avodah, he reaches, that's the Midas HaNetzach, Yecholim Lahagia LaOitzer Ha'elyon, that through Netzach, you actually tap in, you reach up to the level of Oitzer Ha'elyon. The Rebbe is going to say two things now. First of all, that the person through his Avodas HaNetzach reaches in all the ways to the level of the Etzem, to the level of Oitzer. And number two, he's taken mamshich from the Oitzer, also lamata. Once that you reach up there, and you're mamshich from there. So that's the Moisi Ba'Maimer Pirush. So he says, look at meaning. He says, "These galus v'hamshochas oitzera elyon b'midas hanetzach." That the revelation and to draw down the supreme oitzer, that treasure, is within the measure of netzach. When you have the measure of netzach, so one thing is that you reach up to netzach, but he says pirush, that the revelation and bringing down the oitzera elyon is b'midas hanetzach. The inyan zeh, this concept, shebemidas hanetzach mizgale v'nimshach oitzer elyon, that in the measure when a person applies the character trait of netzach, it's revealed and it brings down the oitzer elyon. Hu chidush gadol yoser. That's even a greater novelty. It's something really new. It's greater shayideh netzach magim loitzer, that through netzach you reach the oitzer. There's one thing is that through netzach you can actually reach up all the ways to the level of the oitzer. You can reach to the treasure. But the second point that the Rebbe points out from the Maimer, that the Frierdiker Rebbe says, is not only that you reach out, but you can bring it down. And that is even a higher, greater level, that you are able to bring down Mizgale to and Nimshach the Oitzer Elyon. Because to reach to the level of Oitzer, to reach to the level of Atik, to the Pnimius, that we find by Tshuva too. That's not so special. But what we find over here unique is that you're mamshich the Oitzer in the Midas HaNetzoch. The Inyan, the Zeh Shal Yidei HaNetzach Magim Loitzer Elyon, the fact that through Netzach you reach the Oitzer Elyon, the treasure Elyon, that level of Pnimi, that level of Atik Atzmusay. Even though that the oil is closed and blocked, so and then we're still going to reach there. We find that also with regards to tshuva. As explained in Lekutei Torah, so we find by tshuva you can reach up all the ways to the Oitzer. What does it mean? L'cho omar libi. My heart says to you, bakshu fonai. Seek Hashem with your inner, with the pnimius, and espanecha havaya avakesh. Then you are able to get and receive the pnimius of havaya, which is the level of the oitzer. Shayidei hatshuva me'omek pnimius haleiv. When you do tshuva from the depth, the inner of the heart, bakshu fonai, you're doing it with the pnimius. You're seeking Hashem, ponai, with my inner bakshufonai. So then as panechavaya, magim lebchinas aponim shalomayla panechavaya, we reach the pnimius of avaya, panechavaya. What does it mean, the Pnimis Havaya? Dagam shebchinas haponim shalamayla ulamayla megilu. Even though the level of ponim of above, the Pnimius, the Pnim is higher than Gilu. Ukameshakosov, like the Pasuk says, Uponai lo yero, my face, the Pnimius cannot be visible. When the Eibishter said to Moshe Rabbeinu, you can see the back, but you can't see the Pnimius. Which means you can't bring down from above to below the level of Pnimius. When we say Ponai lo yero, you can't bring it down. But to reach up, as Panecha Havaya Avakish, seeking and bringing up to the Panecha Havaya Avakish, yes, I ask, I seek, and I get the Pnimis Havaya. But here we're saying, the Friedrich Rebbe says that we're actually Mizgale Mamshich this Oitzer. From this we understand as it is negated to us, which is the Midas HaNetzach. That the Zeh Shal Yidei HaNetzach Yecholim Lagia Loitzra Edlin. The fact that through Netzach you can reach the level of Oitzra Elyon, that level of Pnimius, Lehagia, to reach, meaning Milmato Lemailo, from below to above. That's not such a novelty. The main novelty is Shebemitas HaNetzach, who is Galus Hamshochas Oitzra Elyon. The main novelty that within the midah of Netzach is revealed, and you're drawing down the Oitzra Elyon. That's the greater Chiddush. Not that you can reach Oitzra Elyon, but you can draw down Oitzra Elyon. His Galus Hamshochas Milmailo, to reveal and draw down from above. But the Rebbe says, V'tzarich lahavin. How do we do that? We understand how it reaches up to there, but what does it mean to draw down? Draw down means that it's revelation. How could you reveal something which is hidden? Tzarich lahavin. The whole idea of revelation is against the idea of oitzer. Oitzer means a treasure that is hidden. The idea of us oitzer is that it's hidden and it's blocked. Higher than gilu. That's an oitzer. Especially, we explained before, the main inyan of the oitzer is not even the etzem ha'oir, who are atzmus, she'en begeder klal. That's the atzmus, which is not even the geder of oir. It's not oir. It's not even the etzem oir, but it's a level of atzmus which is higher than all altogether. So v'heich shayich shetiz galusoi v'hamshachosoi b'midas hanetzach. How does it apply? How does it fit that the revelation and the extension of this midah of the level of oitzer, which is beyond, should come down in the level of netzach? So what the Rebbe brings down in the Perek Yutes over here, that you get the level of pnimius, you get the level of oitzer. So there's one thing that you get it, but over here we're saying that you actually tap into it. But the Rebbe talks about there's two parts here. One of the thing is that you actually, midas hanetzochen is not just given, but you actually reach into the level of oitzer. But the Pritik Rebbe adds more, and then you're mamshav the level of oitzer, which is more than even the level of tshuva, because tshuva also goes to panecha. But uponai lo yiro, it's not nimshach. Here we're saying that you mamshach the oitzer. The Rebbe says, how could you be mamshach the oitzer? And we'll wait for the answer for tomorrow. Okay.